Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Adedapo and I am filming from Lagos, Nigeria. If today is the first time of watching my video, you're welcome to the family. Kindly subscribe to join the family, and if you are returning, you're welcome back. Thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for always watching my videos. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love. Thank you so much. So today I want to talk about my miscarriages. Like I said, I already said I was going to talk about it. So today is the D-Day. So I had two miscarriages. I am among the category of people that always say that they want to start giving birth immediately after marriage, but then life happens and then we had delay. Not really delay, but I think we're not actively trying. So for like 6 months, or we're not trying the right way, we didn't get pregnant immediately. So after like 6 months, after 6 months, we had the first pregnancy, but then I was not even aware that I was pregnant. So what happened was, I left the office. I wanted to do something somewhere that requires me to trek, to walk. Then there's this friend of mine that had loads of clothes, loads of Ankara materials that she wants to sell, and she needed me to help her give it to someone. So I carried the load and I walked. I walked quite a long distance. So I never knew I was pregnant. But then before that day, my husband fell sick, and then we went to the hospital. We went to the hospital and the doctor carried a test on him, and it was like, okay, I should also run a test. I was like, and he said, what if I am pregnant? I should run a pregnancy test. And I said, I know I'm not pregnant, that though my menstruation for that, my monthly flow is a day late, like a day or two late that particular day, but then I know I'm not pregnant. And it was like, he insisted I should run a pregnancy test and some other tests, which I did. And then the lady at the lab said she could see a faint positive. So when I got back to the doctor, I asked questions, and it was like, it's possible that even after the faint positive, that I might still not pregnant. It's possible that I'm not pregnant. So I took my mind off it, and after carrying the load and all, I think the second or third day, I saw blood flow, and I was like, okay, my monthly flow is there. So after the normal monthly flow period, I was still seeing blood. I was now wondering that where is this blood still coming from, and it got to a stage it became black. So I was wondering that what then happened, I don't understand. I was confused. So I went back. The hospital I went previously was a HMO hospital. The hospital was a HMO hospital, so I went to a family hospital. The hospital my family uses, like, before I got married. So went to the hospital, and then the doctor did a scan, and it was like I just had a miscarriage. I was like, I wasn't even aware that I was pregnant. So he said, okay, they have to carry out evacuation, like they have to do an evacuation and all. That evacuation, hey, the story for another day, I beg. So they did the evacuation, and that was all. So after some weeks, I was feeling sick kind of, and then I was like, okay. And even after that, even after the evacuation, I was not saying my monthly flow. So weeks after, I was just feeling sick, and then I went home that afternoon. I said, okay, I have enough pregnancy test strip at home. So this regular one, the regular pregnancy test strip. So I was like, okay, let me test this one that I'm feeling sick. just for fun, and I did the test. It was the second line was very, very dark. I was like, I'm pregnant. Okay, let me confirm. So I went to the hospital. I did a blood test, and they confirmed that I was pregnant. I was placed on injection because I had miscarriage at first. So the first time, so I was placed on injection the second time. Now I was told to stay off stress. So that was how we started, and gradually, pregnancy was growing. And then I think I was about 8 weeks. So I got back from work that day, and I was just feeling weak. So I laid on the bed, and after some minutes, I was like, okay, let me go to the restroom. So when I got to this restroom, I just noticed that I was bleeding. Not heavy bleeding, but I could see blood and clots, not just ordinary blood and clots. I started crying. Like, if you know me, you know how much I wish to get pregnant immediately after marriage. But then I started crying, and I was 8 weeks gone. Okay, before then, at 7 weeks, yes, 7 weeks, I went to a lab outside, like I just normal lab. I did a scan, and then the doctor was like, I don't know what they are called. The lab, the guy in the lab was like, "Am I bleeding?" I said no. He said, "Have I seen any traces of blood at all?" I said no. It was like the heartbeat, because I could hear the heartbeat of the baby. But it was like the heartbeat is not sounding normal. And I said, "What's going on?" He said, okay, that I should go and come back after a week to, is it after 2 weeks? So he can run another scan. So after a week, that's when I was 8 weeks, that was when I saw the blood, and I got back from work. And I was just crying, I was down. Like, I went after I did the scan, I prayed, because I was like, I was already scared. So I prayed, I did everything I could do. I was placed on injection, like I said. So I was still going for antenatal. I know I was not supposed to start antenatal that early, but then because of my previous experience, I was going, not antenatal per se, but I was going weekly to the hospital. So after I saw the blood, I was just crying. So my husband was not even around, and then I called him. I told him. He said I should go to the hospital, but I said no, that I was not going to go. So I waited till the next day. So the next morning, when he got back from work, we went to the hospital together, and the doctor gave me some drugs and told me to go back home. Although I did not tell the doctor that I had blood clots. I only told him I was bleeding. So he did not do any scan, said I should go back home. So later that day, I was still bleeding. All through the night, I was bleeding. So the next day again, I went back to the hospital. So the next morning, I went back to the hospital, and then I told the doctor that I was seeing blood clots. That was when I told him, and it was like I should have come back to the hospital that same day, because I told him I was just bleeding even all through the night. So he said I could have come back that same day. I was like, okay. He said we are going to carry out an evacuation again. God, the pain, the trauma of the first one. Like I told my husband, yeah, we should just go home. That I cannot stand it. I cannot stand the pain. So we went back home, and then I told my husband I cannot stand the pain. My sister called. Everybody was just like trying to console me and all. So we agreed to go back for the evacuation. So we went back that same night, and then we got there. My husband told the doctor that he should like give me an injection or something that will make me not feel the pain, and he agreed. Nigerian doctors, we will discuss that their wahala later. So he agreed, and then we did the evacuation. Though when we got to the theater, he changed the whole thing, and then I was not given an injection. So I went through the pain. I did the evacuation the second time, and we left that same night. I said I was not going to sleep in the hospital. We left around to 10 or so. We left the hospital and went home. So after that, I would not even lie, I was scared to try again. I was scared. I said I didn't want to try again. I needed time to heal. So I gave it time. So during I think December, yes, December, and all through that time I was not seeing my monthly flow. So November was the first time I saw my monthly flow after the first miscarriage that happened around June, July. I'll get the real date and I'll insert it. I'll write it on the screen. So the second one happened around August. I think the first one was June and the second one was August. So I will insert the date. I will insert it on the screen. The month rather on the screen. So November was the first time I saw my monthly flow after the second miscarriage. And then I was like, okay, I told my husband, I think by December I told my husband, because after the first menstrual flow, I didn't ovulate. So by December I told my husband I was ready to try again. And then there was something God laid in my heart to do, which I did in December, and then I'm still going to talk about it as well. That's a different video on its own. So by December we tried again. Okay, we tried November too, but I didn't ovulate November. So we tried December, and by January I was just I was not even putting my mind in it. So my my monthly flow was delayed by a day or two as well. So I was just like, that's not the first time, it's the normal thing. So I just like, let me just try. And then I went out, I bought pregnancy test strip. I tested and it was positive. I didn't even believe until I got to the hospital and tested with blood. So I did the blood test and then it was positive again, and that was how I got pregnant with this my current child. So what I did